Hello, my name is Kevo Jackal. This is an unprompted video, so apologies for any stutterings, stuttering, you know. But anyways, so this is my in real life inscription board set that I created myself with assets available online of the game. Basically, I've been a big fan of Inscryption itself. And I was upset to find that the IRL version, an IRL version did not exist. It was only the digital game on Steam. So I was like, well, I really want to play this in real life. How am I gonna do that? So I looked around Etsy and like Amazon, and I found people who are printing their own decks for like $90, and you could buy those decks. But the problem is, those decks had like a specific amount of squirrels or a specific amount of certain cards, and it didn't come with like map icons or like numerical values and stuff like that. You would still have to do some DIY to get a full playable adventure. They usually only have PvP 1-to-1 in mind when they make their Inscryption set. What I wanted was to roleplay as Leshy and have my opponent be my victim, the player. So that was what I had in mind when I created this board that you see here. I am ordering a custom playmat that I did design myself. I'll put that on the screen if I can. So that's going to replace this board, which was, again, a very impromptu DIY thing. I just bought a cork board at Office Depot, and then just like printed two 11x17 sheets. So this will be replaced soon, but it's the basic layout. You have Leshy side, which is me. You have the scale, and then you have discard piles. And this does take some big play space to work, but it's so worth it, trust me. So what I'm going to show you basically is not a game session yet. I might make another video later of a playable game session. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm going to make a playable game session example. Like I've done 3 or 4 runs, and my longest one has taken about 3 hours, and that does include the prospector, the angler, and the trapper, and a custom Leshy fight that I created myself because I don't have a moon card printed. Again, this is like a homebrew version of Inscryption's story campaign. It's different every time, but I just wanted to show you how I made it, or like what I have in my version. So what we have here is the items. How these function is, I have an RNG system set in place. We use one of these die, D10 die, and that basically determines RNG. So for example, I would line a random amount. I would just pick them out, right? Because the player gets a selection of three times to fill up their 3 slots. So I rolled a 7 right here. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's your first selection. Roll again. That's a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a 1. So that'd be your first selection. So I would do that 3 times. Obviously, I'd have multiple in a stripped row for more variety of RNG. But that's how that would function. Same with any encounters, like the sigil transfer, or for any reason that I want to include a random sigil acquirement, just, for fun. Again, it's a homebrew adventure. Think of it like D&D / Inscryption. I put a little twist on it to have some more fun for the player, of course. So I want to have a really unique experience for each and single time I play. So that's where the die come in for RNG. I have all the necessary map icons for a unique adventure. I have the cost cards, item, random card, copy paste, totems. I don't include totems yet because I'm thinking still of how to implement those in a fun, unique way. I have ideas. For example, for the totem, they would sacrifice a card, and that would be the species or the tribe, and then I'd let them pick out I let them roll for their random selection of sigils, and then we put that off to the side, their sigil with their card. So now any of that species from there on out get that sigil. So that's a way to kind of do it. And I think that would work. So I'll put that back in there. Tribe card, enemy encounter, spend for your pelts. There's a trapper boss. The way I do campfire upgrades is you keep the campfire card, and you use it as an item These items that are unique to the white token items are separate inventory. They don't count as your 3 item slots. So you keep that to the side. And what you do is when you're in game, you can apply this to any of your cards, and your first upgrade is free. You can either upgrade the health by 1 or the health by 2 points at that current moment, or the damage by 1 point at that current moment. And then you can roll a 5 or up to upgrade it again. And then if you miss the roll, then it burns up and you lose it. You get a bone, of course. I do have a bone spot, and then your bones are indicated by a yellow D10 die. So that's your counter, so you can count your bones. You know how many bones you have. And of course they reset at 0. So that's pretty neat. I have everything thought out, I think, mostly. So yeah, that's how you do it. And if you want, again, because it's a homebrew game, I can make it so if you want to upgrade a 3rd time, then you have to roll a 6 up, then a 7 up, then an 8 up, 9, 10. You can gamble. Again, it's DIY, IRL Inscryption, D&D. So go crazy, do whatever you want. Have fun. There's a prospector fight. There's the random gold boulders. Fisherman, angler, buy some pelts, dupe your card, or merge your cards. The way I was gonna do this is I was gonna get a, I forgot the name. Oh shoot. Paperclip. I was gonna get a paperclip. So you'd paperclip your 2 cards together. And then that would be your merge. Another system I did for one of my fights was you grab your 2 dupe cards, right? You put them over here on the offhand, and that's a 3rd deck. You have your side squirrel deck, you have your creature deck, or your beast, whatever you want to call it, and then you have your dupe deck or any special encounter decks. So for example, I got 2 wolves. I merged them with the mycologist, so I put them over here. Now, during any fight, you can roll a 5 or up to instantly place it, no cost. It's a free cost card now, but you have to roll to place it. So let's say I rolled a 5. Boom, I rolled a 5. So then I get to place it down for free. Now let's say I miss my roll. I roll a 1, a 3. I roll a 3. I can't place it I can't draw any more cards. That was my card draw. So it's a risk reward. You can reward yourself by getting a free placement, or you risk not drawing anything. So that's a unique mechanic, I think. You can still place cards, of course, you just can't draw any cards. So that's a fun mechanic. Not everyone will like that, but it's homebrew. It's fun. Sacrifice a card for a permanent bone to the Bone Lord, and a trial. So there's those icons. Oh, and of course, sigil transfer. Like I said before, you'd roll for a random sigil selection. Once you choose your sigil, you can keep it as an item. Remember, this is extra inventory space, separate from your usual items. And once per every encounter, you can freely place on any card you wish at any time. You can't take it off, and when your creature dies, it goes back in your hand or in your inventory, but you cannot place it for that fight until the next fight. So it's a 1 fight use, or 1 use per fight. So that's a unique way to do the sigil transfer, I think. Of course, you do have to sacrifice a card with a sigil to gain that sigil. So that's fun. And then moving on to the player side, more things. I have a written guide for what everything does. And of course, if the player has any questions, they can ask me, Leshy, and I'll answer.
I have a voice, and it's a little strange. I'm still getting a hang of it, but I've tried different voices for Leshy. I'm going for something like rough, because he's wood, and forestry, and I think this does a very well job.
It does hurt my throat a little bit, so I usually drink water a lot.
But I think it's very satisfying.
I don't know, it's a weird accent. I don't know what I'm going for, just deep and weird and old and
mysterious.
It's fun, I don't know. It's fun. I took this from the wiki, all the sigils and their explanations, and a roleplay script for myself. If I'm playing with a fresh player for the first time ever, I printed out the script for the tutorial. I wrote it down myself because nobody wrote it down, so I had to YouTube a video, no commentary gameplay video, and write it down myself. But anyways, there's the script for the intro tutorial. So there's how that works, or yes. Next we'll move on to the cards. Oh, actually, before we move on to the cards, oh shit, scared myself. I do have death cards I have a Sharpie to write some death cards. I do have a floppy disk with Inscryption on it. Ooh, fancy. It's not a red one, unfortunately. I got this at like a dead estate sale when someone died. So I bought this for like 25 cents. So some dead person's Windows installation is on here, so that's pretty cool. Here's my camera. This is my Leshy cam. It's an old Photosmart R827. I bought it on eBay for like, I don't know, 30 bucks or 40 bucks. So it works. It works just fine. Pretty cool. Flash works and everything. So yeah, that's pretty gnarly. Yeah, let's get to the, oh wait, before we also get to the, all my D10 dice and for the scale, a bell. I got this from one of my collars because they fell off the collar. So I was like, hey, you know what? That works. How convenient. Ding, 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 ding. I don't have an actual bell, so I have this. And the player picks up, rings it, and then it moves according to how much damage is necessary. Ding, ding, ding. And then, of course, my D10 dice. The red is for health, so you can adjust stats on a card. Same with damage for black. Adjust the stats on a card. Gold is for RNG, teeth, bones. Yeah, so yeah, pretty gnarly. Okay, moving on to the card decks. I have all the cards necessary for a full campaign, all boss fights. That's right, I prepared because I'm awesome like that. So I have them organized for obviously a quick setup. Usually it takes about, I want to say like 5 minutes max to set up. Not even 5 minutes, like 2 minutes to set up, as long as I do everything efficiently and I have some decent space. Otherwise I can take up to like 4 minutes maybe. It's a bit of a process, but it's okay because it's so worth it. Because again, it's a 3-hour game, up to 3 hours or more. Anyways, so going on to the cards, I have organized. These are my talking death plus tail plus pelts. My first blood set, my second blood set, rare cards like boss cards that you unlock, bone cards. I need to print some more bone cards. Boss encounter cards, which means any cards related to any boss encounters, like the fishmen, not the fishmen. What the heck am I talking about? The whatever, those fish, sharks, buckets, mules, stuff like that. Second squirrel deck, and obstacle cards. So let's go through them. These are not what do you call them? Like normal play card size. These are slightly smaller, which is excellent because, you know, less room taken up. Let's start with the talking death cards and tails and pelts. We have the cards here. These are my extra death cards. I do have some I need to actually finish. Unfortunately, I have not. You see, they're all empty. That's at my friends, who I still need to put a cost on and their portrait on. Yeah, I'm a bit of a slow worker, but it's okay. So I have the Stunted Wolf, the Stink Bug, the Stoat, and I have a new mechanic with the tails. What I use these for is, at some point in the game, I offer a RNG system. Whenever a card you have, or the player has, that relates to any of these remains, they can roll a die for free. This is no risk reward, that's extra. If they roll a 5 or up, it leaves a tail or a piece behind. Or if they fail to roll, then simply nothing gets left behind. There's no extra cost to it. It's just a simple mechanic that gets introduced later. Just, you know, to spice things up. It makes things more exciting. So there's that. Let me fetch my talking cards. Hey, calm down there. I have my pelts. I only have one of each, unfortunately, but usually players never own all three. I've only had one time where a player managed to collect all three. And it's only because they bargained for it. They didn't buy it because they had enough teeth. Again, it's a homebrew version, kind of like a D&D campaign. I let some things go fine for the player, just, you know, to make them feel more, you know, I give the player some advantages every once in a while if I feel like it's necessary for them to, you know, just more exciting, just make it more exciting. So the players are free to bargain and communicate with Leshy as they please, as I am a character and I am role playing as him. So they are free to communicate with Leshy. Things may go their way, things may not. Empty death cards. Unfortunately, they are fairly empty. Yeah. So there's those. Next we have the second deck, which is the Squirrels and Bees, because there are beehive cards. I don't have any hares or rabbits, since the bees already do the job. So here are all the squirrels available for the player to collect and use. The way I start the player off with 5 squirrels, and they're free squirrels. They start with 5 on their side deck, and they start with 1 free squirrel every time, an extra 1 in their hand. So at total, they'll have 6 for most of the game until they start drawing extra cards from the card encounters. Anytime they draw a card from a card encounter, I may or may not give them an extra squirrel, or through other encounters they may encounter a squirrel. Again, homebrew, have some fun, figure out your campaign as it goes. If the player requires more squirrels, or if limiting their squirrels will spice things up in how they play. Again, it's all up to you or me as the role player or the dungeon master to make the best experience for the player. Here's the bees. Plenty of bees. Bzz, 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 buzz, buzz, buzz. I love holding these cards. These are really nice. I think these are about business card sizes, if I measured them correctly. 2 by 3.5, I think. I don't know. I'm really bad with numbers. Oh, as I said before, again, you can adjust their stats with die. So, 9 damage and 9 health bee, because why not? Because we need more hell bees on this world. Anyways, so there's the second hand set. Here are the first blood card set. These are just generic blood cards, doesn't matter what their cost is. We have the Raven, we have the Field Mice, we have the Elk Fawn, we have another Raven, Sparrow, Wolf, Snapper, Grizzly, Skink, Cub, Elk, Raven Egg, Sparrow, Bloodhound, Wolf, Ant for, ant colonies, and of course a variety. We got Bullfrog, Bloodhound, Rave Snapper, Beehive for bees, Field Mice. I do have 2 Field Mice. There you go. Wait, hold on. Those are mice. Where'd they go? Anyways, I have 2 Field Mice in here, but I have a bunch of ants. I have the Ant Queen, of course, if you ever want to start an ant build. I let the player have some fun. And of course, all the ant mechanics work just as fine, because we're using D10 dice, so we can adjust your stats as needed. More elks, bullfrogs, cats, sacrifice, raven eggs, bullfrogs, cats, sparrows, eggs, the magpie, skunk, opossums. Oh, what are you doing here? That's a bone card. Heyo. Black goat, adder, grizzly. So yeah, you got a lot of variety of cards to use from. So, go crazy with the campaign. I want players to have some fun in the variety anytime they play, or every time they play. And it's also good for Leshy as a role player. I can create unique encounters, like Encounters of the Sky, where I mostly use flight-based, water-based, or land-based. It's a lot of fun because it's your own campaign. Really fun. I'll introduce the bone cards. There's not a lot of them. Players don't usually choose the bone cards. I kind of have to incline them to choose a bone card by force offering at least one mandatory choice in a selection of bloods if they've only chosen bloods previously. I kind of force them to choose one, or at some point mid-game, if they haven't chosen a single bone card, I will force it upon them. A selection of a bone card. Because I want the players to, change up their strategy, figure out what they must do. Have some, a little bit of RNG to screw you over. Coyote, Rattler, Opossum. And I'll just put them all in. Alpha, Opossum, Rattler, Opossum. So yeah, we got a bunch of Opossums, a Coyote, 2 Rattlers, and 2 Alphas. Not a huge selection of bone cards, but again, usually players don't tend to choose them. I have to kind of incline them to, but it's okay. They do add some variety to, you know, the gameplay loop because you have to introduce bones. And then we have rare cards. These are usually offered after a boss fight or some specific encounter like the gold mine or, you know, just whatever maybe. Yeah. So we have the Mantis God, the Mole Man, the Pack Rat, the Gek, the Pack Rat, the Gek, the Mole Man, the Ureyuli, the Mantis God, another Pack Rat, another Child 13, and it's its activated version once you sacrifice it. So a pretty abundant selection of rare cards. Of course, the player's never going to get anywhere near all of them, and that's the whole point. Each time they play, a new selection is given. You know, infinite adventures, infinite fun. Who knows what will happen? And it's so satisfying because it's my own IRL Inscryption, and everything just works. It's beautiful. I love holding these things. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's so satisfying. It's like my own little stim toy. My autism is peaking right now. Anyways. Bone cards. Wait, I already showed you those. Forget about that. Obstacle cards. So these are obstacles, anything that prevents the player from attacking directly. We have starvation, of course, if the player ever were to run out of squirrels, and beast. Has never happened, has never gotten close to happening. I've usually had to introduce them as a unique encounter mechanic. For example, I've had a situation where I had trees or boulders, and I had the player placed within a setting of they're deep in the forest and there's a starving man that approaches them. You know, he's very hungry, and of course this gives the player a heads up like, okay, this is a unique encounter. What's the heck is this? Why are they starving? And you know, for example, one of them I had one starving man introduced, and it would eat cards and combine them and barf out a unique special card. And if the player were to fish it, it would eat their cards and barf out a unique card. It was a very interesting encounter, and I had a lot of fun with that. We have gold, of course, for the prospector. We have some more environmental hazards. We have the frozen opossum if the player were to ever choose it from their items, or just again for roleplay situations if there ever is a requirement to have one. More obstacles, environments for trees and the such. Always necessary for roleplay. A caged wolf, or when the starving returns. But yeah, you know, it's just a unique adventure every single time. You never know what's gonna happen. I don't either. Why do I only have 3 gold? I must have forgotten to print the 4th one. That's okay. I usually, oh yeah, that's right. I only printed out 3 for some reason. What I usually do is I let the player get away with having a 4th card. You know, since it's the first boss, I don't mind them getting away with an easier win. It's, you know, just more, it's morale boost. It's morale boost. Next, we have the boss encounter cards. Any cards related to any boss encounter will be here, even if they're just a regular card. Otherwise, we have the mule, of course. We have Leshy himself, my beautiful old little man. Yeah. So I usually save him for the 4th final boss. The traps, the sharks, the buckets, smoke, of course, if they keep both their lives. I do have the life counter. Kingfishers. I do have these rendered versions of the boss mask. I printed really crappily on some cards to just, you know, I guess just extra decor when they're in a boss encounter. I put it here. You know, it's just for fun, just extra pizzazz. The greater smoke, if they ever upgraded their smoke. You know, all the other traps, the sharks, kingfishers. So yeah, I have everything necessary for all boss encounters. And I also have the hook item, of course, available here. Yeah, so an entire Inscryption Act 1 campaign is fully playable here. It will take about 3 hours for a full campaign run. maybe 2 minimum. You're between 2 to 3 hours is a really wide estimate I can give you. Yeah, it takes a bit. What I usually do is do 3 normal encounters, boss fight, 3 normal encounters, boss fight, 3 normal encounters, boss fight, 3 normal encounters, boss fight. So that's your campaign. Obviously with additives somewhere in there to give the player more choice. And this is where I keep all my stuff in this little container here, nice and neat. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing this. I might record a gameplay session at some point so you can see how it runs, but I can tell you it is a lot of fun. It is some of the most fun I've ever had with any game ever, because I get to roleplay as, you know, one of my fixation games. So I can never say it's boring. Yeah, that's really it. I might have another gameplay session soon. I don't think it's gonna be recorded. It might be a while before I can record a good session because I need a player who's willing to give me a lot of their time. And well, really, that's it. I just need someone who's gonna offer me a bunch of their time, and you don't really get that easily. Especially since it's a physical board game, I can't just play this online. I mean, I guess I could stream my camera and have them decide, but that's not very fun. It's not the same. So yeah, I'm gonna need a very specific situation to get this up and running, but it's okay. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the effort I put into my craft here. It was a very intensive and very long. It took at least 8 hours plus, of driving, printing, gluing, everything. It's a lot of time and effort, but it's so worth it. Once you have a hyperfixation, it doesn't really matter how much it takes, because you're gonna do it. Because your brain's like, I love this, we're gonna do this. I don't care how long it takes or how much money it takes. I'm gonna be honest, the amount of money I spent on this whole set, $15, about $30 printing. This core glue is like $15. Probably at least $100 I've spent on this set. $100 at least. But there is Inscryption. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it greatly. Like if you liked the video, I guess, and if not, I don't know what you were doing all the way to the end of this video. Yeah, bye bye.